We're going to talk about the American scheme. America's scheme or dream is a lie. It's based on mythical things like credit, promises to pay, and power, and points that you get, right? Credit scores, degrees, these mythical things that are very hard to calculate, and they're arbitrary. And it all starts with education. Everyone borrowing their way ahead of others. No matter what the cost of the top private schools, people will still decide to pay. Some of these schools, $26,000, $31,000. This is your cost per year. Dental school, look at this, almost $300,000. Now, here's the truth of the state of affairs. Here are some of the Ivy League schools. Of course, this is where all your skull and bones comes from. And they send their kids to these elite schools so they can be indoctrinated to rule over all of us. See, they have different rules than we do. They get inside knowledge about investment. They're in the stock market, day trading, and they're given insider information about how to build wealth. This is the American scheme. And again, some people are borrowing hundreds of thousands of dollars in education. And then what that does is it indentures themselves to the debt. A lifetime of indentured servitude to pay off that debt. Here's the problem. Some of us get into competition. We think we're somehow going to compete with the Ivy Leaguers. And so people are willing to put forth larger and larger amounts of borrowing money in order to make the kind of money that the Ivy Leaguers make, whereas that's impossible because you've already started out behind the eight ball. Now, there are some success stories, of course, and they like to parade those kinds of people out to dangle the carrot for all the rest of us that come from nothing. You know, the Bible says that 7 years is the maximum you should be paying debt. 7 years. Yet school loans take decades to pay back, long after the education that you paid for is obsolete in the world market of employment. So you've got this obsolete degree that's taking you your full life to pay back. And then they go, oh, well, you can just do continuing education, right? Oh, that's just more debt, more chihuahuas biting at your ankles, right? That's the American scheme. Your education is going to mean nothing by the time you even finish it. So what happens when you get out of college? Well, you find a job. A job that makes you no promises of staying employed. And often they will fire you because of no fault of your own. And to your shock, you're also making about half of what you were told you'd be making in your profession upon graduation. Usually, young adults are taxed at the highest rate, that is if you don't own a home and you're not married, as soon as you come out of college. So what you have are high taxes, pressure to buy a home, which will give you some kind of a tax write-off, right? And pressure to get married. So you buy a house, you get the interest write-off, and you basically assume all of the risk of an outdated home to save a little on taxes, because very few people coming out of college are buying brand new homes. So you save a little bit of money on taxes because you bought this home, but you still have those school loans looming over your head. And everything you own now has to be insured. Your car, your home. A lot of home loans are actually requiring that you have some kind of insurance with it, right? This is money you're paying in that you're never going to get back. So now you're paying back school loans. God forbid you get a DUI or a couple speeding tickets, because that's going to increase your car insurance. And basically you've got your 30-year mortgage. Again, why are they doing 30-year mortgages when the Bible says you're not supposed to do any more than 7 years? And why is it that U.S. workers only stay in a job for an average of 4 years, but we have a 30-year mortgage? That means you're going to have 5 to 6 jobs, maybe even 7 jobs over the course of your mortgage. And we know how the housing market works. House values don't always go up. They come down. And then you got your boss who can fire you whenever he wants. There's no promises with employment. Used to be, back in the 50s and 60s, layoffs were actually pretty rare. So your car insurance goes up. You're paying high amounts because you're younger. God forbid you get an offender bender because people are commuting to work and they're stressed. And then you got this boss who can fire you whenever you want. So what happens next? Well, you meet a girl, right? Why? Because in her eyes, you've got it all together, right? A home, a college degree, and a job with a job title that sounds like you make a a lot more than you really do. So you get married, which costs you on average 30 grand. Being with someone has absolutely nothing to do with how much money they make, short of them being able to at least take care of themselves. Most people probably have the ability to take care of themselves. What happens is they create a bunch of problems for themselves through a learning process of getting out of the beast. We stack all this stuff on top of us. That's what most Americans do to ourselves, and we don't even realize it. So you get the girl, right? You start racking up more debt. And you don't want to tell her that you're having financial problems already because you got these school loans you got to pay back. You're paying insurance, and you just keep telling yourself that you're going to work it off and that raises are going to come, right? And my employer likes me. And you have this false sense of security because they're being nice to you now because they need you. But as soon as they don't need you, you're gone. You keep thinking you're going to be successful because that's what your American dream tells you. That if you work hard enough, you can be successful. But it has nothing to do with hard work. It has everything to do with smart work. It has everything to do with chance and luck. It has a lot to do with who you know. That's about 60% of it. So these are warnings for you guys about the American scheme. It's all smoke and mirrors and lies. So your wife's in love, you're in love, and she wants a kid. And you want a kid. So you say, why not? So she gets pregnant. No sooner does she get pregnant, because your employer wants you to stay on the ball, right? He wants you to stay in this debt so that you can help the economy. This is what they do. So they give you health insurance to have a child. It's weird. I remember both my kids were pretty much paid for. I don't think I had to pay a dime out of my pocket to have children or to do a marriage certificate, right? All that's free almost. But once they got you, then you're in their web. You're in their web of lies. And so the employers they're doing their deed, right, for the New World Order to make it easy for you to have kids because they know that those kids you're going to love and do whatever it takes to make sure they have the best life possible. They know that children are the hook. Children are the hook, and they know that. So they draw you into that by giving you free children, basically. They know your children are going to go to the best schools, and you're going to do everything you can to give them material things and keep the beast going, right? And I'm not saying it's bad to have kids. I have 2 kids. I'm saying the reasons why they're doing it is a trap. They're trapping you into this servitude to be slaves. So, the American scheme. Water heater breaks. You start missing mortgage payments. It only takes 3 payments to lose your mortgage investment. 3 missed payments, and your house is gone. Okay? And you don't think the bank is going to be all over that to snap up your investment? Life insurance. Oh, you're a bad person if you don't take care of your family with life insurance. This is what I was told. Well, guess what? It only takes 30 days of a lapse in your payment to lose all the money you paid into your life insurance. And all those payments will not be refunded. You could pay into a life insurance policy for years. As soon as you miss 30 days, which could be caused by anything. You could be sick. You could get a divorce. You could just not feel like working for a year. The American scheme. See how this works? Water heater breaks, the roof starts to leak, and your wife wants a new bathroom. So what do? You take out an equity line on the home. You got a little bit of equity stored up. Pull funds from the equity line. You're making repairs because the new baby's coming, and you want to make a beautiful, sterile environment for these kids, right? Mom needs a safe car to drive to protect this new life that you're bringing into the world, and they've equated that to you're a bad father if you don't get life insurance for your family and get a brand new car for your wife and kids to keep them safe in case anything happens to you. See, it's all fear-based, and mom likes that new car, that shiny new car, because being a mom isn't self-fulfilling anymore on its own. Used to be, not anymore. You're connecting with these souls every single day, but that's not enough anymore for most moms. Stay-at-home moms are basically obsolete now. So now you got this $500 a month car payment. You've got your insurance all the way to the teeth, and things start breaking. Do you see how these things start to add up? And yeah, you're getting a little bit back in interest, but it's a drop in the bucket. By now, these school loans are eating you alive because you're paying for something you're not seeing a direct benefit from 10, 15 years after you got the school loan. Things are getting tight. Now you're upside down on your house because you borrowed against it. You're still paying off that wedding and the furniture from 5 years ago that you bought. that's already broken. You're still paying for that. And now the kids are old enough to go to Disneyland. Everybody's got to go to Disneyland, right? You don't take your kids to Disneyland, you're a bad father. Debt stays on hold, and you might use that money that you get from a bonus or a tax return instead of using it to pay down your debt. You're going to Disneyland, right? 30 years is a very long time, you guys. 30-year mortgages are anything could happen. So you're tired, and one morning you wake up and you get the call from the office. Sorry, we've got to lay you off. Here's your 3-month severance package. Then you're like, okay, what do I do now? And you think that somehow you're going to have the ability to save this house, right? Because you've spent 5 years paying into this house. 5 years you've been paying into this thing, and you don't want to give it up. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars you've invested. You've paid double of what you normally would for rent. You could have rented a place for half that. So what do? Well, 44% of Americans liquidate their 401ks. This is money you're supposed to be saving for your retirement. This is the American scheme. Everyone's doing it, but no one's talking about it. You take a 50% hit, so you only get about half the money for penalties and early withdrawal. All that's done by design. Who gets all that money back? The banks. But in your mind, you're thinking, I can't just walk away from this house. It's the house my kids grew up in. See how it's false dreams. Your wife and kids are counting on you to perform some kind of a miracle. Everyone's wishful and hopeful, but no one's looking at the big white elephant in the room, that you just expose yourself to all the risk. Bank takes back the house, sells it to another sucker with a 10% markup. Insurance companies walk away with everything you paid in because you missed a couple of insurance payments on your life insurance. Your wife leaves you because she feels like you work too much and you don't pay attention to her and the kids. And to add insult to injury, you get a letter in the mail telling you you're behind on your school loans. And that, my friends, is the American scheme. It's full of bankers, lawyers, insurance scams, doctors, overpriced educational institutions, every single one of them with their hands in every single one of your pockets, nickeling and diming you into insanity. You are the one that's required to make all the promises with absolutely no promises in return. You have to make a promise to pay everyone, but yet no one is making a promise back to you that you will have a job tomorrow, that your family will be taken care of. It's a racket, and you take all the risk. There's no loyalty, there's no assurances, no promises. The only promise is that you will have to go back to work to dig yourself out of the situation that you're in. Less is better. Once you learn to live with less, you learn that having something in your possession doesn't mean a whole lot anymore. Just because you have something doesn't mean anything. That thing could be gone tomorrow, but yet you're still going to pay for that. Once you get over the effect of gratification from objects and things, once you get over that, you start investing your time in other things like spiritual things, stuff like that. That is when you are free. And that is only when you